howdy, 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 and welcome to the Red Dirt Aggie Show. I'm Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie, and I'm here with William Beckmann today. And what's going on, William? How you doing?
Brian, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great today. It's Wednesday. We're midway through the week. We're almost getting there to the end.
Halfway, yeah.
Pretty tired today.
You know what? I'm feeling it a little bit too, man. But like you said, we're halfway through, so staying positive on everything.
Yeah, got to keep that positive outlook. But yeah, I mean, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself? I know you say you're from Del Rio, down near the border. I mean, did that kind of have an influence on your music as well?
100%, man. Absolutely. I was raised in Del Rio, Texas, right on the border, and yeah, I still go a bunch to visit my family and stuff. But growing up, I mean, it was a really unique place to get into music and to just be from. Everything from like listening to Spanish music, Mexican music on the radio, and learning those kinds of songs whenever I was playing gigs and stuff. It all kind of bled through into my music and the kind of show that I put on. So yeah, where I'm from has always been a big part of what I do, and it kind of comes through in my music.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of hear that on some of your songs where you throw in a little Spanish every now and then to keep it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I have a song. I play a couple different songs in Spanish at my live show, but I have a song that was off of not this last record I just put out, but the one before. It's called "Danced All Night Long." It's got some Spanish lines in there, and then we had a whole mariachi band come in and put some strings and some trumpets on it to make it sound kind of like a Mexican, almost like a Marty Robbins kind of thing. So it was cool, man.
Yeah, no, I actually really enjoyed that song personally, but I've learned a lot about the whole culture down there and everything. I married a Latina, so.
Oh, did you?
So I got like engulfed in the whole culture, dating her and up to now. So it's a beautiful culture, really. So like it's neat.
Honestly, one of the coolest, most beautiful cultures that I've ever known or experienced, man. So yeah, I feel you on that. The music's insane. The food, I'm so picky, man. I'm so picky with my Mexican food. Like, especially if I'm up in Nashville, like it is not even close to being authentic. No, man. No, not when you grow up in Del Rio, man. And then I live in San Antonio, and the food's amazing there too. Yeah. So like, between where I'm from and where I live, I hold my standard pretty high.
Right. Yeah. I'm down in Magnolia, about an hour north of Houston. So we're kind of in that like Houston umbrella, but maybe a little further north.
I think as far as Mexican food goes, man. I mean, I think anywhere in Texas, it's going to be a pretty solid place. I think it's rare that you go somewhere and it's just a complete miss. But we're fortunate enough to get that.
To get to experience all that good food.
Yeah, for sure.
But so what was it that really that made you or inspired you to want to become a musician?
Man, a couple of different things. It was always something that I loved. Like I remember being little and always watching like CMT music videos and just being like really in tune with, a band or anybody playing guitar. Like I was always really, really interested in playing, and I didn't really know how to do anything or how to play anything. But when I was really little, I was maybe the fourth grade, third or fourth grade. My parents put me in piano lessons, which I did for a couple years, and then that turned into me taking an interest in guitar. By the time I was like in middle school, I'd kind of picked up how to play guitar and stuff, and then I kind of started like that was. I don't know. I don't know. Do you play guitar at all?
I don't. When I was little, I took guitar lessons for a little bit, and then I got into like middle school, and I started playing the trumpet. So I was in like band and stuff and music, so I can read music and all that. But
yeah, when I was first learning, there's this, and it still exists. There's a website called Ultimate Guitar tabs.com or ultimateguitar.com. And dude, you could look up any song and it'd give you the chords and all the lyrics.
Nice.
All of my favorite tunes, I'd go on there and I'd print out these things and I'd learn these songs. And so that was like my first introduction into playing music. And then, of course, like if I felt confident enough singing it or whatever, I'd play it for my parents. And then my parents would ask me to play it for their friends whenever they'd come over. And then that kind of built my confidence up. And like, oh, like, you know, everybody keeps wanting me to sing, so I must not suck that bad, you know? And then so then I started going out and I started going out and playing a little bit more, and then that morphed into me writing a little bit. And Radney Foster, who's also from Del Rio, lives in Nashville. Him and I had a mutual connection. One of my high school teachers. So this was already, you know, when I was well into high school. One of my high school teachers and him grew up together, and then knew that I liked music and that I was taking an interest in it, and set us up for a meeting, and I got to meet him, and which was cool. Like he was like the first famous person I ever really got to meet, you know, and he got me into like writing songs and stuff. So that's kind of how it all happened. It wasn't really, I don't think I ever really had any sort of idea that I wanted to do it professionally. Like that's what I wanted to do with my life until I was a little bit older, kind of around high school, getting into college, and that's when I started, you know, having to have conversations with my folks, like, okay, like, what do you want to do? You know, you're going to go to college, and then after that, like, what's kind of your game plan?
Right.
And I was honestly like, man, I want to be a rock star, dog. Like, what do you mean? That's just what, like, so.
There never was a second plan.
There never was, man. You know, so anyway, that's how I got into it, man.
Yeah, man, and that's. So you talk about getting into songwriting a little bit too. What is your favorite song that you have wrote?
Man, that's a hard one, man. There's this tune that I wrote. I wrote it by myself. It's called "In the Dark." It was off of this.
Yeah.
It was off of a record, "Faded Memories," and man, that song. We play it every night, and it's crazy because I get to hear the crowd singing that song back to me, but I've had a lot of people tell me that song means a lot to them, or that it helped them get through a rough patch in their life, and that's the coolest feeling in the world is when you have somebody come and tell you that, because it means you did your job as a songwriter, and that's the whole goal. You know, that's the whole point, is to write music that people can connect with and can feel something from. And so I would say that one. I'm a really big like guitar parts and stuff, man. That particular song has a really interesting acoustic guitar lick, and without getting too like nerdy, it's in drop D and the capo's on the third, and it's just like, if you watch me play it, man, like I have to stretch my fingers this far. And it's like the craziest thing, and I'm like, I play that song now, I was like, man, I can't believe I came up with that. And I don't even really remember coming up with it when I wrote it, but it's definitely, I impress myself with how difficult it is, and how much I was persistent enough to actually try to pull that song off. You know?
You're like, I made this?
Dude, and it's funny because I've had like people reach out to me, like people trying to learn that song, like, how do you play that song? And I have to record a little video of me doing, like, look, man, I can't explain it. I can't type this out. You just have to watch my fingers. Yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. It's awesome to hear stories like that. And I mean, so what's your favorite part of that creation process, that music creation process?
Man, my favorite part is once I've figured out if it's good or not. And that can take a while. That's kind of the weird thing about each song, because there's songs that I'm like really excited about that I'm like, oh man, this is good. And I show it to people, and like nobody really seems to vibe with it the way I do. And then there's other times where it's the opposite, and I write a song and I don't think much of it, and everybody loves it. So sometimes sometimes you're not the best judge, I guess. You're not the best one to ask, but I've written enough songs now, and I've listened to enough great songwriters to know this is a well-written song, this is good, or this is a great idea, nobody's ever done this. And sometimes it happens immediately after you write the song, and sometimes you have to let it sit for a couple days or even a couple weeks, and then you go back to it and you're like, yeah, this this is really good. And then regardless of whether other people enjoy it or not, like you wrote a good song, and that's something to be proud of. So for me, man, it's just I guess what I'm trying to say is the sense of accomplishment you feel. You're like, man, I had a productive day today. I could have gone to the bar and I could have gotten day drunk. Instead, I wrote a really good song. So that's how I,
No, it's like, I mean, and I can relate a little bit. Just every time I finish a podcast episode or record one, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we got content. But then but when it's finally finished and edited and uploaded to YouTube or scheduled to like go live, that's when you're like, yes, like that
it's a good day's of work, man. Like
finished, and it's like
exactly,
a good
man.
product that you're proud of, and you're like, yes. Like,
it's a good day's work. You feel productive, you feel accomplished, and when you do what I do and you write songs, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. Sometimes you get stuck and stuff. It's a good feeling when it's done.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is the hardest part of being a musician? Is it creating new music, or perfecting it in the studio? Is it performing? Is it something else, or a combination of any of those things? Or
man, all those things you mentioned, I quite enjoy. I like being in the studio. I like the songwriting process, even though sometimes it does get a little bit. It can get a little difficult, It can get hard to come up with stuff that you feel is like original. The whole co-writing process is only something I've done in the last few years, and 2 of those years were kind of weird pandemic years, and so that's been a really cool process for me. I wouldn't say it's difficult. If anything, man, I think the hardest part about my job right now is just the traveling, man. You get worn out going and being on planes and being on a bus and playing shows that, it'll wear you out. But when I'm on stage, man, it makes everything all worth it, because that's my favorite part of the night or of the day is when we're actually there and fans are showing up and singing the songs back to me. I mean, it's a huge payoff. So I can deal with the jet lag and all that other stuff. Man. That's really not the hard. That's not that hard in the grand scheme of things, especially when you do what you love. It's like I never gripe about showing up to work because it's what I signed up for and it's all I've ever wanted to do. So, if we ever get to a point where people can teleport and I could just show up to things like 30 minutes before I have to be there, that would be awesome. But until then, man, I'm gonna have to deal with the road and airplanes.
Man, if we do ever get to a point like that, you imagine how many shows artists are going to be trying to play in one day, though? People are going to get
That'd be insane, dude.
Out, though.
Teleportation, man, be wild. Because think about crime, dude. Like, you could rob somebody and then you could be, like, in another country. That'd be scary, man.
Yeah.
They should make a Black Mirror episode about that or something weird,
No, because I never even thought about that though. Like the crime side of it, I always just thought of the East. But like, of course, criminals are gonna find a way to take advantage of that.
Dude.
So
You could. I'm like, how do you know if somebody murdered somebody? Like, you can't. Your alibi is like, no, I was on the other side of the world, man. There's no way I did that. Like, William Beckmann just wanted to be able to go to every show 30 minutes before he had to be there, and now crime's through the roof. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Man, but who are some of your biggest influences? I will say biggest influences that you had starting out, and maybe some of your favorite artists right now as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, like when I was starting out, man, I was like real big into George Strait.
Right.
I had like that one album. It was like a double album. It was like 50 of his number one hits.
Oh, yeah, the 50 number ones.
Yeah, 50 number ones.
There's like 2 of them, too, so it's...
Yeah, I know, dude, that guy, it's insane how many hits that guy has. Huge fan. My brother and I wore those CDs out. Of course, I'm a huge Randy Rogers Band fan. A lot of people know that, and even before I was able to tour with those guys and learn from them and be buddies with them, I was listening to like that self-titled record when I was in high school, and that was still kind of back when I was like what I was explaining earlier. Like I learning a bunch of songs that my friends wanted to hear. And
Right.
like, I remember In My Arms Instead was a song that I always played on the guitar whenever my buddies and I were hanging out. You know, I liked a lot of old stuff, man. Like, especially when I was getting into songwriting, I was like listening to a bunch of the great songwriters from like the 70s and stuff. Like, I was a big Neil Young fan. And if anybody, like, if you've ever seen me play, I do a lot of the harmonica with the little neck, you know, the neck holder thing, you know. And I got into that because I really wanted to. Well, I was listening to like a lot of Neil Young and like Bob Dylan, and those guys always did that. So that's how I got into doing that. But you know, the people that I'm listening to right now, Tyler Halverson's great. I think he's awesome. You know, I've been listening to more and more Zach Bryan just because of the whole craze, and I think he's a fantastic songwriter, man. I think he's got such a talent of just writing songs that clearly connect with a whole lot of people, and doesn't, you know, he's got his own thing. You know, he doesn't sound like anybody. You know, you hear him and you know it's him. So I've been listening to a lot of him.
You see his tour today. Like they launched the thing for his tour today, and the ticket prices were like again, and people were
really
going crazy.
Yeah, man.
Like
Dude, it sucks. Yeah, man, it sucks, man. All those scalpers. It's really it's crazy because I mean that's the line of work that I'm in. I mean that you know, selling tickets and stuff, and it's really hard to combat. There's really no way around it because they have all these computers that kind of do it, so it's hard to track or trace or figure out what's a legitimate purchase or what's not. And then you know, everybody knows most of the time it's just a somebody that's reselling them or something. But yeah, I hope they figure that out because it's not fun. It's not, and the worst part is that it's coming at the expense of the fan. You know,
the
fans
artists
having to
don't
pay
even
for
get
it.
all that money. That's what I think kind of stinks.
And so, yeah, man, but Zach is clearly a superstar and a songwriting machine. So I've been listening to a lot of him lately. Who else? Corey Kent is a buddy of mine who I respect a lot, and I think his music's great. There's a whole list of people, man. I'm always trying to listen to new stuff that I think is cool, you know.
Yeah. And can you give us 3 artists that you'd like to see here on the Red Dirt Aggie Show? Shout out.
3 artists that I'd like to see, man. Well, I'm not sure, man. You might have already had some of these guests on. Gracie York is somebody who's
we haven't had her yet.
Opened up for me a few times, and she's fantastic. Have you ever had Corey Kent on here?
Not yet, but he was
not yet. Corey's awesome. I'll put him down on there. And the last one, I would say, have you had Braxton Keith?
Not yet either, but he's
Braxton's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
okay.
He's a buddy of mine, and Braxton
Yeah.
Keith is a good guy. He's a hoot, man. I'd say those 3 artists.
Alrighty, well, awesome. So you heard it here. You've been personally invited by me and William Beckmann to come here on the Red Dirt Aggie Show. But yeah, so
Did anybody pitch me in there?
yes, Parker McCollum pitched you in there.
That's what I thought, man. I thought I got tagged. This is what this is. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm putting it all together, man. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. I remember. I remember Parker plugging me in on something, and I wasn't sure if this was the same
You
thing.
were on our list though too before that. I'll be honest.
Cool, man. I appreciate you saying that.
But yeah, so it's cool. It was definitely a big boost having a guy like Parker on for sure. You know, his career's kind of taken off lately, but.
Yeah, man. No, Parker
he's a great dude. So.
I'll tell you what, man. That guy, I owe him a lot of. I owe him a lot of credit, man. That guy's always constantly putting me on shows, and I've done some of the coolest things in my life because of him. You know, we just recently did Red Rocks, which was a bucket list thing. I got to open up for him and the Randy Rogers Band.
Yeah.
It was awesome, man. He introduced me to Peyton Manning that night. He was backstage hanging out with us, and it's just wild stuff. I'm like, of course, Parker McCollum's going to be buddies with Peyton Manning.
Just kicking it with Peyton Manning.
And you know, he's throwing us on real big arena shows and stuff like that. So shout out to Parker, man.
Yeah, man, and we here at the podcast, the Red Dirt Egg Show. I mean, I've been seeing Parker since like 2015, 2016, so it's just been
So
cool.
you've
to
been
see
an
him.
OG fan.
Yeah, it's been cool to see
Dude,
him.
that's awesome, man.
See him come up through the like the bar scene, and the college bar scene is like he'd come play at Harry's and College Station all the time, acoustic shows. Saw him open for Josh Abbott, a whole bunch of stuff like a long time ago.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but it's just wild seeing the Texas music scene be good to a lot of these guys, and then they end up going on and
Man,
and
that's
who
the
knows,
cool
maybe,
thing. That's the real cool thing about it is like I feel like right now everybody, especially a lot of people in Nashville, are real open to the Texas music scene, whereas before it was kind of the opposite. There was a lot of like butting heads, and it was almost like if you did come from this scene that nobody really wanted to touch you in Nashville. And now the tables have kind of turned, and now you got people like Parker that are incredibly successful, and people like Kojo, who started out touring in the Texas scene as well. My Randall King,
right,
is another buddy of mine who's got a major record deal, and so it's just cool to see everybody like embracing that, because it like coming up in this scene, you want to always respect it, and like I toured in the Texas country circuit, and I still do. But as an artist and as an entertainer, man, I mean, the goal is to get as big as you can and to spread your music with as many people as you possibly can. So you want the support from other people to help blow that up even more. And always give credit where credit's due, man. Like I wouldn't have anything if I didn't have the fan base that I have in Texas. And and I'll never leave that, and I'll never shy away from that. But it's really cool, man, to see it happen for people like Cody Johnson and Parker McCollum, and even Co Wetzel. Who's
he's on a major
who's not really like a country thing, but he's a star in his own right, And,
he's almost doing like
cool,
punk rock now, but it's
man.
awesome, it's badass.
I don't even know what you call Co Wetzel's music. It's just Co Wetzel, which is cool. Whenever you can't really explain it, but it is what it is, and it's badass, But
it's always.
But yeah, man, all those people have been real good to me and to the scene. So I'm grateful to be involved in it too.
Yeah, and Co Wetzel, if you're watching this, we'd love to talk to you, man. We know you're a fun.
Come on, Co.
So come on, Co. But yeah, so the age-old question, the big question, right? Do beans belong in chili?
Do beans belong in chili? I don't think beans belong in chili, but I have had chili with beans in it, and I don't personally mind it. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the fence because I've had some pretty rad chili, man. Like it's with beans in it. But yeah, man, I'm kind of on the. I don't know. I'm gonna tell you though. I don't think they belong in them though.
So they don't belong in chili. So
they don't belong in.
Beans,
I don't.
Then. Your team no beans.
I'm gonna go with no beans.
All right.
Yeah, wait, I'm curious. What your take is on it?
I personally, I'm like, I'll eat it either way. I think there's some chili that's supposed to not have beans and some that is supposed to have beans. So it depends on the kind of chili. So like that's kind of where I am. My stance, I guess, then is team beans because I'm okay with beans, and also that's also in support of Rich O'Toole. He was our first guest, and he's spread the word a lot for the show as well. So. I think we're going to have him coming on again soon. But that's where I got the whole beans and chili thing from because he's always had a whole, campaign with that on social media.
Yeah, that's funny.
He knows how to get people riled up on social media.
Oh, he does, yeah. That's funny. That is funny.
Oh, yeah.
What about pineapple on pizza?
Pineapple on pizza? Ooh.
Yeah, Hawaiian pizza. Because,
okay.
dude, I've had some pretty bomb...
I've
had some good Hawaiian pizza, man. I don't want anybody to, come after me with pitchforks or nothing, but... But yeah, I'm like, again, pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
No, it's not
But I
like
don't mind
a
it. You know what I
staple,
mean?
but every now and then to mix it up, like it's okay. Like, but you got to go like pineapple and ham or like pineapple and something like that, like a Hawaiian thing. I don't think like pineapple and Italian sausage. I think that'd be a little like whoa.
Yeah, dude. If it's like 3 a.m. and you're like drunk, like, dude, you're
It's
gonna
not
eat
gonna
that
matter.
Hawaiian, dude. You're gonna eat that Hawaiian pizza,
Yeah,
dog,
you're gonna
for
eat
sure.
it. Oh man, but what's while we're on the food topic, when you're out on the road, what's your go-to like gas station snacks when you're out there on the
Late night
road?
snacks.
Either late night snacks or you're on tour out on the road or whatever. What's your go-to snacks? You're going in the gas station,
I'm going in the gas station, man.
drink snacks, whatever.
Dude, I love Pringles, man. I love
All
Pringles,
right.
all different flavors, man. I love those chips. I like. I'm like a big candy dude. Like I like gummies and like gummy worms and random stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'll load up on some candy, and then usually, man, I'll as far as drinks are concerned. My band drinks a lot of Red Bull, and I don't because I don't like staying up, and I also just I know that's not great for you, but I usually
Yeah.
I'll drink electrolyte, you know.
Electrolyte.
Yeah, I'll get either that or like a Gatorade or just alkaline water or something. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I'm always trying to get on those electrolytes, man, because
Yeah.
it might save you. Might save you later in the night,
Recovery or
Recovery.
prevention, either way.
Recover, yeah. You can either drink it before or after. It'll help
It'll
you
help
out either way.
somewhat. Yeah. Yeah, and then so what I've recently found at HEB is these taste exactly like Diet Coke, and I love Diet Coke.
Really?
And they're
The original
a quarter of
cola?
the price. Yeah. Taste
Dang,
identical
man.
to Coke. The red ones taste like Coke. These yeah. Can't even tell the difference. Usually
Dude,
you
you know what-
can with like, those generic brands, but you can't with that.
Yeah. You know what's hilarious, man, is like I never, like when I was growing up, because you just mentioned HEB, and I love
Yeah.
HEB, but when I was a kid, like my parents and like everybody in my family or everybody I knew, we would always call little plastic bags HEB bags. Like that was the term I used,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, like I need an HEB bag for the trash can or something.
Right.
And then I moved. When I moved to Nashville, when I was like 19 or something, like I used to
Right.
like I would be telling like these dudes that I lived with, I was like, dude, I need an HEB bag. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, an HEB bag, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Like just the
You don't know
damn
what an
bag,
HEB
you know?
bag is?
You're like, just like a plastic bag? I was like, yeah, an HEB bag. And like, what is HEB? I was like, oh my God. And then it dawned on me, it's like, y'all don't have HEB here, so you don't know at all what I'm saying. Like a Kroger bag, like a
Yeah.
plastic bag. And I always remember that. Like, I must have sounded like such an idiot by trying to tell people that I needed an HEB bag.
HEB bag.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just me and my family or if it was like an
I
actual
think
thing
that's
that
a
people
common
would say.
thing. Just
HEB
like-
bag. I don't know.
Just like, you want a soda.
You know what I'm talking about, though, because
Yeah,
you're from
yeah.
Texas. Everybody else
Exactly.
didn't.
Everybody's got their things like that, down south and in Texas. Like, do you want a soda or you want a Coke, or what kind of Coke do
Yeah.
you want? Right, like that. I know a lot of
Exactly.
people with that too. But what's the craziest thing you've seen or experienced while you've been out on the road or at a show or something? Some crazy moment.
Craziest
that you
thing.
can share.
Gosh, dude. There's nothing really crazy. I'm trying to think. We left my bass player one time at a gas station, and we like pulled out, and thank God he had his phone, because that's like the number one rule is if you get out of the rig,
Yeah.
you got to keep your phone on you, because that happens. It's like it's happened to a lot of people before. But thank God we didn't get very far down the street before we turned around and picked him up. There's also there was one time we were talking about Parker. We opened up for him one time in Austin, and it was at the Moody Center, which is that brand new arena that they just built.
Ooh, okay.
and we were going out on stage, and we had done a sound check, a line check, and it was awesome. And we start the first song. There's a bunch of people, thousands of people out there, and we start the first song, and somehow the power had gotten disconnected back behind the stage. And so the only thing, when we started this song, the only thing that was making any noise was the drums, my drummer, and somehow my piano player was still, his piano was still working, but my guitar player's amp was out. My bass player, Michael, his bass wasn't working. My guitar was not working, and my vocal mic was working. So I was singing like half of a song. It was just bass, or sorry, it was just drums, piano, and me essentially singing a cappella. No other music. And I'm like looking around, dude, and I was like, I wanted to curl up in a ball and die. And I was like, man, like I'm in front of, I don't even know how many thousands of people. Dude, I was like on a jumbotron, dude, and I was just like, man, I just remember thinking, all I have to do, man, is just smile, and nobody will probably even notice. Because if I had the look on my face that I wanted to have, or that I naturally would have had, it would have been really clear that something was incredibly wrong. So I just remember like smiling, singing, doing my best, and then like halfway through the song, some guys backstage figured out what had happened and like connected, and then we all came back in, and then I looked, I was like, thank God, dude, that was insane. And that was like, yeah, man, that was not a fun experience at all. And then, you know, it's one of those things, we all got off stage and we were all patting each other on the back for handling it like pros, and it was nobody's fault. But yeah, you try going out there and thinking you know, we were like all fist bumping. It was like, dude, this is awesome. We're gonna kick ass, and it's gonna be awesome and great. And we go out there, and it was like, oh my God, what is going on? So yeah, now we make sure that everybody line checks before we go out on stage.
Yeah, it only takes once, right?
yeah, live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Oh man, but so you ever spend any time? You've played at Harry's, right? Hurricane Harry's.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Big fan of that venue, man.
So you ever spend any time dancing there or anything, or just spending time?
Dude, yeah, I've danced there a couple times, and I've played there several different times. The last time I was there, I was able to headline it myself. I played. I think my buddy and I played it together, Drake Milligan, and we played there. Not too long ago, but man, I've opened up for, Flatland Cavalry. I've opened up for them there. I've opened up for the Randy Rogers Band a handful of times. I might have done a Wade Bowen and Randy when they do the Hold My Beer and Watch This shows. Yeah. But man, I'm a big fan of Harry's, and
I think it's a great venue, really.
Man, it is.
Good in there, you know.
It sounds great, and I know they got those pool tables out in the back, and it's like the perfect size dance hall, you know.
Yeah, I'm about so where I'm located, I'm like an hour from Houston and an hour from College Station, and there's not really like a good dance hall around here. So when I want to go dancing, me and my wife will still go up there sometimes and just go mingle with the college kids.
That's cool, man.
Dancing, but it's fun. So I find myself up in College Station all the time and going to games, dancing.
It's a good
town.
town.
Being an Aggie, it happens. Yeah, it's a fun town. It's a good town. What's your favorite live concert show that you've ever seen? That you've been to as a
favorite live? Okay, my favorite concert I've ever been to. I've been to some really crazy, insane things, man. Half of them though were like shows that I was either opening up for or like a festival that I was a part of.
Right.
But I've gotten to see some of my heroes. I'll tell you the really like one concert that sticks out in my memory. I was fairly young, but my grandfather took me for my birthday because he really likes the blues, and I always liked the blues too, and he took me to, when I was maybe like 16 or 17, he took me to go see B.B. King.
Oh.
And that was insane, man. Like that was like, and we
I've
got
heard.
really, you know, he he was playing at the Majestic Theater in downtown San Antonio, and man, I think we must have been in like the fourth or fifth row, in that theater, and it was insane, man, to watch him play. I've seen Chris Stapleton, and that guy, man, like I know everybody knows that guy's arguably the best singer in the business, but man, to hear that stuff live as a singer is insane, man. Like the way his voice just cuts through and kind of just hits you in the head, it's pretty remarkable, man.
No one has a voice really like his either. It's like a unique voice. It's not even that he's so talented. It's that it's such a unique voice too. And I mean, he is talented. I'm not saying, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. Like,
well, I mean, dude, just his control. Like that guy's never had a bad night. You know what I mean? Like he's never flat. He's never sharp. I mean, there's times where even I'm like, I listen back to videos or that people tag me. I'm like, oh, you can tell I'm. It's kind of tired or whatever. I've been singing 3-4 days in a row, and my voice is getting a little tired. But no, that guy, dude, that guy is like a machine, man. That guy seems to have it down. But yeah, so he was another one that I walked away from feeling really inspired. Like, oh man, I need to practice, dude.
And that national anthem performance he did at the Super Bowl too was probably one of my favorite national anthems I've ever heard.
No kidding, man, no doubt. And again, man, the guy never misses.
Yeah, he does not miss. So, what's your opinion on being categorized? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but on being categorized as Texas music or red dirt, and just your opinion on the genre today.
Man, I think the genre today is better than it's ever been. I think there's so many people out there that are really putting in the work to do this full time, and that's all you can ever ask of anybody, man, is to, if you want to do this or you want to tour, there's no easy way around it. You got to really put in the work, and that's what, when I think of Texas music and a lot of the Texas artists, man, they've got work ethic like nobody else, and I learned that a lot from people like Radney Foster and people like Wade Bowen and Randy Rogers. Parker McCollum is another great example of somebody who's just so incredibly dedicated to the craft and to being successful, and that rubs off on me. So I'm very proud to be where I'm from, and I'm very proud to have the fan base that I have, man. I think that it's something that shouldn't be taken for granted, because there's a lot of people from other states that don't have the option to go and do what they do in their home state and try to build it there and grow and build a fan base. It's really only Texas and the Oklahoma scene that what they consider the red dirt scene. Even though I don't personally consider myself a red dirt artist, that scene that we're all involved in, I mean, is a really cool community, man.
And that's the thing. It's almost like that whole Texas/red dirt. It's so much more that you're just like an artist from one of those two states now, because there's so many different variations of it, where we're getting more of a like rock sound, or more of a traditional country sound, but it's all, the thing I think that makes it neat is it's all a lot of times it's original songwriting, and it's local artists that are touring around the state, and I think that that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And that's why I said what I said earlier. I think the scene is better than it's ever been, because you have so much. It's so versatile now. I mean, you got the people that are kind of more on the rock and the grungier side of things, and you got, like we were talking about, Dylan Wheeler,
Cody West,
Giovanni, Giovanni and the Hired Guns, man, they're fantastic, and I've been. It's been really cool to hang out with all those guys, and I can call those guys buddies and stuff, and I respect what they do, and it seems like they have the same kind of level of respect for what I do, which is cool. And then like you were mentioning, the more traditional thing, people like Randall King and who's got that kind of prime country sound, which is really hard to pull off unless you got the voice for it, So it's cool, man. Like you got all these different. It's almost like there's all these different subgenres now within the scene. Whereas before it was just like it.
It was like
there was like a certain sound that everything was, and it's cool, man. And I think we're in a place where a lot of young college kids are getting inspired to want to pursue it too, and I hope they give it a chance and give it their all, man. Because if you got something to say and if you got a voice and you want to play music for the rest of your life, man, then go do it, man. Go chase it. That's what people told me when I was still trying to figure out whether I had it in me to actually do it professionally. And I'm glad that I'm glad I was surrounded by people with a lot of moral support, man, because some people need it, you know.
Oh yeah. And what's your ultimate goal for your career as a musician?
Ultimate goal, man, I want to just play for as many people as I can. You know, I really enjoy the live aspect of my job. I love playing for people. I love it when I'm able to stop singing and, you know, the fans are singing my songs. That's the coolest feeling in the world, you know. And I've been in really cool situations where I get to open up for really big artists and stuff who get me a lot of exposure and let me open up their shows in front of thousands and thousands of people, and I've been in some really large venues like that, and you know, I just, every time I walk off stage, I was like, man, I want to come back, and I want to be the one to be headlining, you know. I want to be the one that hopefully I get to a point where I'm able to bring enough people out to fill a room like this up. So that's what I want to do, man. I want to keep making records and keep putting out music that I'm proud of, that hopefully connect with people and that inspire other people to want to get into it too, man. You know, that's what other people did for me, and that's what I want to kind of do for other people. So
Right. And speaking of some of those venues, what's the coolest venue that you've ever played, and what are some venues that you'd love to play at someday, to headline at someday?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I mentioned earlier we just did Red Rocks, which was really fun.
It's hard to beat that.
I've done the Grand Ole Opry twice now. Going to do my third appearance on the Grand Ole Opry in a couple weeks. You know, those are two big heavy hitters. Did the Ryman Auditorium as well, which was another bucket list thing. Some man, you know, there's a couple. You know, it'd be really cool to get to do Carnegie Hall in New York City. You know, that's a really famous theater that I think would be really cool.
Right.
You know, any of the big arenas like Madison Square Garden would be super.
Oh yeah.
Super dope. Yeah, man. I'm sure there's a whole list of venues that I haven't even it hasn't even crossed my mind, but you know, I want to. But yeah, we're just trying to keep on trucking, onward and upward. Hopefully one day.
And do you, aside from music, what are some things that you consider hobbies or that you're passionate about outside of music?
Man, I'm trying to get better at golf.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really good at that, but it's something that I want to kind of get into. I like going fishing and stuff like that whenever I got time. But yeah, man, I'm really trying to carve out some free time so I can do some of these things that I feel like I haven't really been able to do in a minute since we've been touring a whole bunch. But I do that. I also love coming back to visit my family in Del Rio. Got a little nephew and a little niece. My brother's got 2 kids, and spending time with the family, man, is something I don't get to do a whole lot of anymore. So you know, just hanging out and coming home and seeing old friends, man, that's something that's off time well spent in my opinion. So
yeah, of course, man, that family's always gotta, you know, play an important role, and
for
gotta
sure
come first. So well, do you have any new music coming soon, or any other announcements or shows or anything that you'd like to tell us about and could share with us?
Actually do. You know, I just put this record out a month ago, so that's all out there on all those streaming platforms. I'd encourage everybody to go check out those songs. I've got two kind of like funny songs that I'm putting out as live, an A and a B side. I have a song called "All My Exes Still Make Me Breakfast," which is like a spin-off of George Strait's "All My Exes Live in Texas."
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've always loved that song, and it's a song about being on really bad terms with all your ex-girlfriends, and I thought it'd be funny to write a song that's the opposite, which is like you're on really good terms with all your ex-girlfriends. They let you come over and like spend the night and like make breakfast in the morning, and so I put that. We recorded that song live, and we're gonna put that song out. And then there's a song on the B side, which is another kind of funny song that I wrote for my dad. It's called "Stealing Bottles from My Dad," and it's just basically about me when I was young. I would raid his liquor cabinet and throw parties with my friends out in the barn and stuff, and of course I'd get in trouble for it. But I wrote those two songs, and people seem to think they're pretty funny. So
yeah, those are gonna be.
And I love what I do, man. Like I love the songs that I've written, but if you can't laugh at yourself or make something kind of lighthearted, then what's it all for? So yeah, I got these two kind of joke songs that we're about to put out that we're super excited about, and then I'm gonna have a Christmas song that's coming out in December, which is gonna be really cool too. But yeah, between the record that just came out and these couple one-off singles, man, that we're gonna be putting out, man, I'll be putting some new stuff out there, and then hopefully hitting the studio and starting to work on the next album too, man. It's time because I've got a little batch of songs that I've been really excited about lately that nobody's ever heard. So yeah, man, new music, new tour dates. I just hope people check me out on check my website out, see where I'm playing. Hopefully I'm coming close to you, and hopefully y'all come out.
Yeah, and we can throw that website or any links you want down in the description. Man. You can just send all that over after we're done.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we talk a lot of music, and we do also talk a lot of college football, Aggie sports on the podcast. You got any opinions on what A&M football is going to do this year? How they're
Dude, I don't, man. I haven't really been following on Aggie football. Don't hate me for that, but I need to get into it because I know I got a little cousin who called me the other day because he's a freshman at Texas A&M, and he's asking me if I was coming in to play in College Station anytime, and he wants to take me to a couple games and stuff. And he's a freshman, so he's all like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and he's a brand new college kid. And I was like, all right, man, I'll come hang out with you when I got some time off. So hopefully him and I can catch a game, man. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, he's a freshman, so he doesn't feel the pain of last year, maybe as much. The football team from last year, man.
Yeah, man.
5-win season was not great, so we're hoping for a little better this year. But yeah, man. Anything else you want to share here? I think we're about out of questions, but
man, that's about it, dude. Just like I said, these new tour dates and this new music, man. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to have me on, man. Any kind of exposure I get, man, is good for me. So I do appreciate you taking the time.
Well, I mean, the same for us too, man. So bringing you on is gonna get us exposure. Then that's what we're gonna do, and we're big fans of your music. So
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, well, this has been the Red Dirt Aggie Show with William Beckmann. I'm Brian the Red Dirt Aggie. As always, gig 'em and God bless, and see you next time.
Sweet. Brian, thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.